One of the interesting things about motorbikes is you can actually change the gear shift pattern. And one of the things that a lot of racers will do, I certainly do it on the bikes that we put on track, is turn the gear shift pattern into what we refer to as the GP shift pattern. Now, what is that? Well, the GP shift pattern is the opposite of basically what you have in the shift pattern for a standard street bike. So the standard street bike is basically 1 down, 5 up. So if you go from first through to sixth, then you would press down to go to first, and then you would work your way by clicking upwards for an upshift. Now, a GP race pattern is exactly the opposite of that. It's where you reverse the system so that to go from first to sixth, you simply click up for first, and then you push downwards to go through the gears right up to sixth gear. Now, why would you want to put GP shift pattern on a motorcycle? Well, it's really important to recognize that when you're downshifting, right, you're generally trying to decelerate, you're coming into a corner, you're in a more of an upright position. So it really doesn't matter which way the gears are, whether you pressed them down or you lifted them up. Your foot's going to be in a position where it's easy to make the change. But when you're in a corner and you're accelerating, and in certain situations you might want to upshift, it's very difficult, particularly on a left-hand lean corner, to get your foot under the gear lever if you have the standard race pattern or standard shift pattern. So, for example, if you're trying to change from second to third on a left-hand turn, you'll lean the bike right over. The gear shift lever is very close to the tarmac. It's awkward to get your foot under there if you can even move it in the first place. So what the racers will do is they'll reverse the gears so that it's just simply a matter of pressing down. They don't have to get their foot underneath. They can just sit it on top and press down and make an upward shift. So much more suitable for racetrack scenarios. Now, the question is, can you do that on the Ninja 400? So the answer is yes, and this short video will show you how we did it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to recognize that you've got the gear lever or the gear selector in here, and it's got an attachment here that connects to the gear lever itself. And basically what that's doing is it's pushing from the top. All we want to do to turn it into a GP pattern is flip it over so that this is down here, and then it pushes the rod in reverse. It actually flips and changes which direction the rod's actually pushing. So you can imagine if you press here, it goes that way, but if that was upside down, then it would actually rotate that rod a different direction. So the first thing you do, you just simply remove the little attachment on the gear selection shaft. Right, and this is connected to your gear lever itself. All you need is a 10mm spanner to undo that, and it just slides out over here. Now, one little point I'll make is just make sure you recognize where the position of the gear lever is, because you kind of want to replicate that if that's in a good position. So all we're going to do is we're actually going to flip it that way. But to get the bolt in, what we have to do, we actually have to remove the chain guard. Right? Otherwise, I just can't get the bolt in, because the bolt now comes in from above, not from below. So a couple of small bolts, I think it was an 8mm socket or something. Yeah, 8mm socket. Right, so we just remove 2 of these, and then there's a small Allen key bolt that holds the back of it on up here. Right, so just remove that. Get it in the way there a little bit. Right. Now, you'll notice that this kind of holds these cables off the chain too, so all you simply do is you remove that. Okay. And then what you've got to do is you've just got to position this on here. Now, I've actually already worked out where it needs to go. Yeah, a little bit awkward. So what I'll do is I'll actually remove the gear lever specifically. That's going to be a lot easier to do. It's going to give you a lot more room. And that's probably perfect. So I just lift everything up. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, so now you can put the bolt back in, which comes in from the top. I have to put a lot of pressure, just make sure it's firm. And now we have the race pattern. And you can use this rod here, just loosen these nuts, and one's a left-hand thread, one's a right-hand thread, and then simply you spin that rod and it allows you to adjust the position of this lever. So I've had this in race pattern before and it's actually pretty cool. Now I can put the cover back on. The way I found put it on is just make sure you've got these hoses, don't get these hoses and cables caught in there, but kind of come up from the top and your bolts in place. Now we have race pattern, so you go up to first and then all of the upshifting is done with the downward movement of the gear lever. There you go.